Thank you for coming back to Natasha's Reads Right Now. And right now, we're jumping right back into the Daevabad trilogy with Book 2, The Kingdom of Copper. I will start off with a warning. I will be as spoiler-free as I can for Book 2, but obviously because it is the sequel, there will undoubtedly be some spoilers for Book 1. So if you haven't read Book 1 and you don't want spoilers, go ahead and stop watching. Otherwise, let's get right into it. Okay, I just finished this. I was able to binge read it in just a couple days, and wow. So I am still coming off of post-book apocalypse. So we are finally in Daevabad, obviously from Book 1, and we jump 5 years into the future. First off, how many of you guys like that when the sequel jumps ahead, you know, years into the future? I really like that. I feel like it gives the author a lot of liberties with the character development. And that was probably my favorite part of this book, was the character development. Now, in Book 1, I felt that the characters were really self-absorbed and still kind of up in the air for me of who I liked. But in this book, the characters really grew into their own person and started thinking outside of themselves, which was fantastic. It gave the story a wider view. It gave the world building a wider view. Character development in this book was key for me. So starting with Nari, she has really grown into her power. When in Book 1, she was very skeptical and, you know, she keeps trying and she only tries for a little bit and then she's like, I give up. This is too hard. I can't do this. But in this book, you know, she really goes all in. She's devoted and she works hard, and her healing abilities have just multiplied exponentially, and her confidence in them, though still shaky, she is able to emit confidence to others. And her magic is wow. I really love Nahiri's magic. So I won't spoil too much, but her magic definitely plays a big part in the story. Another aspect that Nahiri's character has really resonated with me is, although in Book 1 she was very skeptical of religion and pretty much felt it was silly, she's really, because her people are very religious and devout, she herself has made an effort to appease them and follow along with their traditions. And I really love that. You know, you can think something silly and ridiculous, but make an effort for others. You don't have to tear them down. A little effort just goes a long way. Now, as much as Nari's changed in this story, she definitely has her old roots bubbling through the surface when, you know, being repressed in this palace by the political maneuverings and by the king. She does a very good job at keeping it in check and keeping her thoughts to herself, because she knows if she speaks out, she won't get hurt. Other people she knows will be hurt. But every once in a while, oh, it bubbles to the surface. And she still has, she holds her own for sure. And at times I'm just like, no, please shush. But at other times I'm like, yes, he needs to hear this. You have got to stand up for this. So we still get that spunky con girl back from Cairo, bubbling under the surface of this newly composed healer. In Book 1, I wasn't fully on board with Prince Ali. Towards the end, I started to get to know women like him, but Book 2, I really am involved in his story and his character. And so from Book 1, we know that he's getting banished. And what he does with his crappy circumstances is just fantastic. I love when people, you know, when they hit rock bottom, they don't give in to the despair. They rise up and they do something grand. And that's definitely the case with Prince Ali. He really builds himself a community, a family, and he is one of the more selfless people in this story. And through Prince Ali's eyes, we kind of get outside of the city of Daevabad, where other Jinn tribes are still living. With Prince Ali's power growing, we also kind of get the sense that maybe there's more to him than just the surface of this Jinn prince. And it's very mysterious, and he is still unsure of what the heck is going on with him. And we get to go along with that journey and wonder with him, which is another way that the world expands in this book. Now, in book 2, we also get a third perspective, which really shook things up a bit. We get the perspective of Dara. And as I was confused with him in book 1, I am still confused with him in book 2. You know, first off, we hear more about his horrific past and what he's done, but we see him growing, and we see his inner monologue of his struggling within himself. And so I still don't know. I still don't know about his character, whether or not I'm rooting for him or I just need him to go away. So it keeps flip-flopping throughout the book. Now, the feel of this book is very different. It's more political, it's more maneuvering around in the system, behind the system, underneath the system, trying to get things done. And you feel more of an oppression, like just at every turn the characters try to make a difference. It seems like it backfires. You know, take 2 steps forward and 1.5 steps back. And so the progress is very slow. So I felt like the pacing in book 1 was very well written, and it kept moving. This book had a little bit of more of a slog at times, but honestly that only lowered this book's rating just 1/2 star for me. But it is worth mentioning that I did have a little trouble with the pacing in this book. I really had to wait until towards like the very last little bit of the book where the action really started happening. I mean, throughout like 3/4 of the book, we're just trying to get any plan off the ground. The characters are trying to get any amount of freedom they can. They're trying to live their own lives without getting other people hurt. And it's not until the very end that everything happens. So the last quarter of the book, that's when the real action started. And I was at the edge of my seat for the whole last quarter of the book. I was crying. I was nervous. Oh my gosh, so nervous for all the characters. And throughout the book, because there's so much oppression and so much less freedom for all the characters, I really didn't know whose side I was rooting for, because I felt like everybody was just in the same boat and nobody was really helping. So I'm like, just stop, you're making it worse. And then at the end, it made the tension so much real, because I was on everyone's side, because I felt they were on equal ground, to where I'm like, why are you guys even fighting? Alright, so I'm going to end it right there, because that's as much as I can do without spoiling book 2 for you. I definitely recommend picking this series up, with book 3 coming out in just a few days. I am so excited and can't wait. Thanks for sticking with me through this review of The Kingdom of Copper, the second book in the Daevabad trilogy. And let me know down in the comments what you're reading right now. How many have you read books 1 and 2 and are excited for book 3 to come out, the finale of this trilogy? And let me know, how do you guys feel about Dara? I still don't know at the end of this book, so let me know down in the comments. Now, if you're excited for the end of a big trilogy and you cannot lie, go ahead and like and subscribe.